new generation. We are the youth of the nation. High in the sky. We are the new generation. Leader. Leader. Leader.
Our esteemed viewers, we are glad you are watching us. This is Leaders Dialogue, and we have visited Mr. John Ng'ang'a. Mr. John Ng'ang'a is a business consultant at Taluma Consultancy. He is also an author of 7 books, including Christian Professionals, Leading the Marketplace, and his latest book is A Leader's Work Ethic. Mr. John Ng'ang'a, we are glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. John Ng'ang'a, as leaders, what is the phase of being sought as a leader?
You know, Jesus used to use very graphic language. Yeah. He was deliberate in his choice of words so that when he gave a parable or gave a statement, it was loaded. So when the Bible is asking Christians to be salt of the earth, or professionals to be salt in their workplace, or leaders to be salt in their leadership, there are 3 or 4 things we are being asked. Number 1, the reason why you are desperate for salt is because food without salt does not produce the taste. Just try to eat your food, well made, but forget to put salt. I think it becomes a very bad experience.
For sure.
And yet the cost of salt is so little.
Very little.
But if you don't have it, there'll be problems. So Christians are salt in their place of work. In other words, you come to a company where people work unhappily, where the atmosphere is dull, where people are looking to resign. Because a Christian goes there and they do not carry grudges, they create an atmosphere that allows people to accept one another, to work with one another. They see the way you forgive, and they learn how to forgive one another. All of a sudden, the same working place with 100 workers, one Christian has entered it, and it has changed the atmosphere. That's what it means for a Christian to be the salt of a place. So you need to ask yourself, when you came to a place, what difference does it make? Maybe you are a wife, and you are married into a family. Question mark. Has that family become more cohesive, or you came to destroy the relationship between the brothers? Your husband no longer can talk with his brother because he married a wife who is creating chaos. You are not salt. If you came as salt, you create an atmosphere that allows the family to be more united. The same thing with you in a neighborhood. You enter into a new estate, maybe this gated community. You are just one person, but you are expected to produce a difference. Or are you the one person who refuses to pay your dues? You have a security company, and you are the only one who doesn't pay. Now, you are not becoming the salt. Salt produces good taste. Second thing, the salt that is very important to know about the salt is that it is given in small quantity. So when the Bible says you are the salt of the earth, 3 things he already telling you is, I'm aware you always be in a minority. And that does not excuse you not to have taste. You must produce the taste I was talking about, yet you must accept you always be in a minority. A Christian will not do well in industry. When he feels like, because there are so few, what can I do? I'm the only one. All the others were drinking. How could I not drink? Everybody has a boyfriend. How are you? Did you expect me not to have one? You feel like when people start talking like that, they are no longer salt. Salt is little, but little changes the whole taste, despite the small quantity. So when Jesus says you are the salt, you need to understand that everywhere we will go in industry, in our leadership, the majority will always be going to hell. Wide is the way, leads to perdition. Narrow is the way that leads to heaven. So you should not be surprised when we are few. And we should not be discouraged when we are few. And we should not give up when you are few.
Yes.
So you need to understand that if you are going to influence where we are, we must accept you be few. Nothing, you should never be intimidated.
Yeah.
Because you are the only person in your clan who knows the Lord.
Yes.
You are salt.
Yeah.
And like the story we gave in another program, once they know you are standards,
Yes.
they want to be like you. People say, sorry. I should not have done that. I didn't know Nganga is here.
Yes.
And I'm not the boss.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
somehow over time, they want to be like you. They admire you. So it's important. So that's the second thing,
For sure.
if you are salt.
Yeah.
Number 3,
Yeah.
salt is not just for food. When we had no fridges, and it's not too long ago, at least I saw a fridge for the first time in the 80s.
Yeah.
So in my 50s, in the 1950s, 1960s, 70s, maybe I saw a fridge in the 70s. What did you use?
Yeah.
During Christmas, you have killed a goat, fattened lamb.
Yes.
But the meat cannot be finished
Yes.
within a day.
Yeah.
You put salt on it. Put salt on it.
Yes.
That meat will be available for sikukuu ya tarehe moja. The New Year's celebrations.
Yes. Yes.
Because the salt
Yeah.
will fight. I don't know the biology of it, but the meat cannot go bad when you have put salt in it. It's a preservative. So thirdly, when Jesus is saying, "Be the salt of the earth,"
Yes.
it's me prevent the world from going wrong.
From nothing.
Now, these days they are talking about sustainable development. In other words, you develop a place by not destroying it long term. Doing the kind of things that will not destroy the environment long term.
Yes.
Is like salt, preserving the environment. It's the same thing with your relationships. As a leader,
Yeah.
in the task, in wanting to develop, to do something within time, sometimes the process are so rough. By the end of the period, they have the project done, but people are resigning.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to be able to achieve
Yeah.
your task and yet
Yeah.
be at peace with the people working in your team.
Yeah.
You are able to preserve the people rather than destroy them. Because a young lady came to work in you, you should preserve her so that long term she will remember, I gained my values from my first boss. My boss did not take advantage of me. They taught me how to say no to the wrong things.
For sure.
So salt is a preservative, means it stops society from going bad.
Yes.
That's the same thing you need to, that's why Christians need to be getting involved in rehabilitation.
Yeah.
People who are getting drunkard, drug addicts,
Yes.
we not only want to recover them from the destruction they have, but you want to find a way of preventing it.
Yes.
If you're a preservative, shouldn't we be talking to children in primary school to tell them the dangers of the dangers of drugs?
Yes.
What about talking to girls to tell them boys are not evil, but if you are a teenager and you touch them, you may end up pregnant and you may never reach where you are going.
For sure.
That information should be taught by the parents.
Yeah, sure.
But the Christians around them should be the backstop,
Yes.
so that even if the parents don't tell them, they will create an environment that preserves the virginity of the boy or the girl, so that they do not become married earlier than they need to be married. The same with marriages.
Yes.
There are all kinds of temptations causing men not to be responsible in their place of work. We are a preservative. We need to find a way of creating couples fellowships where men can challenge each other, women can challenge each other, so their marriages will last. They will be sustainable. So to me, when Jesus says that you should become the salt of the earth, you not only are little, not only are you bringing up the taste, you are also a preservative. And it will be very important. But the last thing, if you are given salt, maybe if you grew up in town, you don't know. But I cannot forget what my mother used salt for. If I ever came home with a cut, you know what he did? We washed the hands or the place that is there, then she put salt. Wasn't thing painful.
Very painful.
Very, very painful.
Yes.
But mom said, don't worry, that's the wound will heal.
Yes.
So medicine is not just a preservative, it's curative.
Curing.
Yes. That means if you are the salt of the earth, in your place of work, you will find people that are destroyed, that are sick, socially or spiritually, and you invest in them to cure them. Such that somebody, a young man is brought to your department on his way to being fired. You work on him until by the time he's leaving your department, he's on promotion. That means you have cured him. A lot of people want easy. They just want guys that are already made elsewhere. If you are a salt, you will cure even the people that are wrong. I'm not asking you to marry them.
No.
But I'm telling you, help them to improve.
They need to improve.
Yeah. So that's in my understanding, very, very important for us to have that at the back of our mind. Wherever you are leading, wherever you are working, ask yourself, am I obeying the command to be the salt or not?
Now, the issue of being the light of the world. We lived in some eras ago where we used to have blackout all over the country. And light is very important. What is the place of being a light as a professional leader?
Yeah, again, Jesus tells us, be the light of the world. And there are several things that we need to know about light. Number one, it is such an exclusive thing. Wherever it goes, it drives out darkness. Darkness and light can never be in the same place.
No.
So when Christ tells you, professional, Christian professional, Christian leader, be the light of the place I have put you. It means that drive away darkness. For you to be mentioned as a manager and corruption in your department at the same time, that corruption, darkness should never ever be mentioned with you. Because your presence makes it difficult for people to do that. They know it's not, and it's not so far-fetched. I remember when I was still employed, I took a group of people for lunch. Then everybody started ordering things. I ordered my soda, but people ordered all kinds of drinks. The company was paying. When the waiters were bringing, they brought Tusker to me. They forgot the ordering system, so they brought Tusker to me. My workmate, who was next, shouted, no, don't do that. I realized my non-Christian workmates cannot allow me to taste alcohol, even if I wanted. They have placed themselves as my protector. Now, are you getting the idea that if you are light, darkness is uncomfortable?
They must.
That's why the non-Christians want to talk about women and who they slept with. They look at you. They feel uncomfortable. We can't talk to that subject when Nganga is here. What's happening? Light is making darkness uncomfortable. Because when the Bible says, be the light of the world, it means wherever you go, you must drive out darkness.
And it's very interesting, the issue of darkness going out. There is this debate about resigning from workplace when there is something wrong going on. Is it really good, or what is your take on that?
You see, if you are light, you should never be afraid of going to a dark area. Because the winner is obvious. Light. I was talking yesterday to a young person who is an engineer. And he was telling me that they are talking about appointing him as a resident engineer for a certain big project. But he tells me the things he has had. He would rather remain just in consulting, but not just an engineer. Because the resident engineer is the one who signs. And especially when you are doing multi-billion projects, as a consulting engineer, you are the one who is going to sign for any payment. But now he tells me the challenge is the contractor would be happier to steal, except for your signature. The government side have an engineer who is supposed to be the one you are protecting. But the one saying, what's the idea? Just allow them to.
Yes.
Because he knows once the money, if you have said you want tarmac of 6 inches,
Yes.
if you make tarmac 4 inches,
Yes.
1/3 of the money
Yes. Good.
has been saved.
Yes.
Then they can divide it among themselves.
Yes. Yes.
And when we are talking about 1 billion shillings, 1/3
Yeah.
is
A
what?
million.
300
Millions.
millions.
It's a lot of money.
So you stop people getting that money,
Yes.
and they just say they will knock you dead.
Yes. Yes.
So you can see driving darkness
Yeah.
will have a cost. So I was telling the young person, surely the only person who can drive darkness is a Christian. Why?
Yeah.
Because he is the only one ready to die. Any other person, hey, don't kill me. Where am I signing? You sign.
Yes.
And in that process,
Yeah.
the country has lost 300 million shillings.
Yes.
What is worse, there will be road accidents on that road. As the potholes develop immediately,
Yes.
people are going to die out of your signature, out of your cowardice.
Yes.
Sometimes you are not even given anything. You don't, because you don't want the money,
Yes.
they don't give you. They just want you to sign
Yeah.
after making you afraid.
Yes.
So you need to understand that for you to become the light, if you're appointed resident engineer, you should rush there. Where duty cause or danger, be never wanting there.
Yes.
Which actually means in modern English, do not be missing.
Yes.
Huh? It is important to understand then, you cannot leave a place
Yes.
because it is corrupt, it is dark.
Yes.
Because if you move,
Yes.
darkness will not fill up the place.
Fill up the place.
And remember, serving the Lord is actually serving people to the glory of God. And God has placed you there so that the darkness can disappear.
Excellent.
It will mean you die,
Yeah.
but if heaven is your home, why don't you want to go there?
Yes.
So, of course, I'm not asking you to commit suicide, but I'm saying be ready to die
Yes.
so that you bring light to the people.
Excellent. Actually, it's coming out that the famous slogan, if you can't beat them, join them, is not true. We are called to be light. We are called to be the salt of this world. And as a Christian leader, wherever we go, light should shine and darkness should cease being there. We are going on a commercial break on Leaders Dialogue. When we come back, we will pick it up from there. You can continue forwarding your questions in our Twitter account at the Leaders Dialogue Show. You can hit our Facebook page at Leaders Dialogue and we will respond to your questions. Thank you.